who were in the kitchen at the time all this was going on were preparing to steal stuff, heard all the shots being fired and quickly fled, leaving their little job of stealing things. And it says that the 2 deceased delinquents, again, had still not been identified at the time this article was written, but that the yoga teacher, acted in self-defense and would not be charged with anything. So,
well, that's good that the yoga teacher will not be charged. But what really surprises me is if she's a very well-known yoga teacher, that sort of goes against some of the training, because yoga is all about the mind, body, and spirit. So it surprises me that someone that deep into yoga would have firearms in her house to protect herself. And it sounds like she really knew how to use them.
It sounds like it. She scored some good shots. But, again, this story is coming to us from Chile. So yoga teachers in Santiago, Chile may have a different demeanor than a yoga teacher in New Jersey in the United States.
What are you looking at?
Crime is pretty commonplace down there. And as you can tell, criminals travel in packs. In this particular case, there was 4 of them, and she took 2 of them out, so good for her. I don't know that storing your gun underneath your pillow is a real good idea, though. I should point out that particular part of this story, and, if you're going to have a gun close to your bedside, there's a lot better options than having it underneath your pillow. I mean, there has been cases where, guns have accidentally discharged while someone was sleeping. Maybe they stuck their hand under their pillow, or somehow their finger got into the trigger guard.
The fabric can even get into the trigger guard and activate the trigger.
It could. There's too much room for air.
Right. My next defensive gun use story comes to us from Atlanta, and it was reported on WXIA in Atlanta. A man who allegedly robbed a Cascade Road Family Dollar on Monday night was shot twice by a store employee, the police say. Atlanta police say the man walked into the store around 9:55 p.m., pulled a gun, and demanded the contents of the store's cash register. As the robber was leaving the store with the cash register itself, an Atlanta police spokesman said one of the store's employees pulled a personal handgun and shot the suspect in the hand and thigh. Police then arrived on the scene pretty quickly and took the suspect into custody without any incident. Police credited their aggressive patrols throughout the city and being able to arrive at the store soon enough to arrest the suspect.
Well, they probably could have found him if they just followed the trail of blood.
Well, that's true, and I have to give kudos for the employee. I hope that he's not going to have any adverse action taken against him. I don't know what Family Dollar store's rules about employees having a firearm on premises are.
Well, even if he does, it's Family Dollar. He can find another job, better than Family Dollar, maybe.
Well, let's hope so.
But yeah, that's good that, these criminals, when they go into places like this, now this one happened here in the U.S., in Atlanta, and you would think that criminals would be aware that there's citizens out there, even possibly the people who are working at these small little stores, like a Family Dollar, have the potential to be armed.
Well, not only the employees, but they don't know if a fellow shopper
that's true
is going to be armed, who has their concealed firearms permit.
Yeah, I can only imagine how surprised they were when the employee started blasting away at them. Though
we bring stories to you like this because they're out there to show that good people carrying guns are stepping up to defend themselves. That's
right. And, these defensive gun uses, while we're on that topic, that we're bringing you, man, that's just the very, very tip of the iceberg. There's so many of these types of events that happen every single day. We pretty much have our pick of stories to report here on this podcast of whatever defensive gun use that we want to talk about. We try to choose the ones that are, kind of the most interesting. And my next one, the headline is "Man Shoots 2 Armed Men Who Try to Rob Him at the ATM." And this one's from Pittsburgh and was reported by WPXI. The article says that a man shot 2 would-be robbers early on Thursday at an ATM in Homewood. According to the Pittsburgh police, the 42-year-old man told police that he was using an ATM on North Homewood Avenue shortly after 1 a.m. when 2 masked 16-year-olds with guns approached him and tried to rob him. And police said he pulled out his own gun and shot one of the would-be robbers in the leg and shot the other one in the stomach. And the man was not injured, and he had a license to carry the firearm, so he was all legal. It says here that the victim happened to have a weapon and that he is licensed to carry and use that to defend himself in this situation. And this was police spokesperson Sonia Toller. Both of the would-be robbers were taken to the hospital in stable condition. Police recovered the teenagers' guns at the scene, and charges against them are pending.
16 years old.
Oh yeah, 16
years
old.
They are just getting started in their life of crime.
Oh, they've probably been at it for a while already.
Well, hopefully getting shot will help rehabilitate them.
Yeah, maybe that'll wake them up. We talk about in our concealed weapon class about ATM robberies. We touch on it very briefly. What better place? Put yourself in the mindset of somebody that needs some money, somebody that wants to actually rob another person. Where would be a good place to rob that person? An ATM? Yeah, that would work because they're there doing a transaction. Either they're getting money out or perhaps they're making a deposit. And so you know that it's a cash-rich environment. And I tell a story in our concealed weapon permit class that the bank that we use a drive-up ATM. And driving through the parking lot up to this drive-up ATM, there's a dumpster out there in the corner of the parking lot. This dumpster is surrounded on 3 sides by this little wooden fence. And, based on my years in law enforcement, I imagine that would be the perfect place for a ne'er-do-well to hide and lay in wait for somebody to come up there to use the ATM, because then they could approach from the driver's blind side and get up there to the ATM machine really quickly and rob them. So consequently, when we're driving through that parking lot to go up to that ATM, I'm making sure that I glance over there to check behind that dumpster and just to make sure, that there's nobody there. And it's not being paranoid, it's being situationally aware. Most people say when they're a victim of crime that, oh, this guy, he just appeared out of nowhere. Well, no, he didn't. It's just that you weren't paying attention. He came from somewhere, and you just weren't paying attention to your surroundings and didn't see him coming. You were in your own little bubble, and we try to get people to, make their bubble much bigger.
One thing I want to point out about the story was the victim was using the ATM at 1 a.m. And I don't know what his situation was that caused him to have to use the ATM at 1 a.m. But if you're going to go out at dark, that's a really good time to be extra alert and aware.
Well, he may have been getting off work or who knows, but, it's probably not the best situation to use an ATM at 1 o'clock in the morning, but hey, you're a citizen, you have the right to do that. And
you do.
Maybe he, like I said, was just getting off work or something and had to get some business done or whatever. But who knows what his situation was. But anytime that it can happen in broad daylight too. So the time of day,
it can.
It doesn't matter. It just really doesn't matter.
My next defensive gun use comes to us from Florence, Alabama, and was reported by WAFF. A home invasion in Florence left a suspect dead early Tuesday. Florence police say that the homeowner shot and killed the suspect, who was identified as James Devon DeMoss, who was 26 years old. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, officers responded to a call about shots fired. As officers were responding to the scene, the homeowner notified them that the shots were fired during a home invasion. Officers located DeMoss inside. He had been shot multiple times by the homeowner inside the residence. He was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police say there was evidence that indicates DeMoss targeted this particular residence, but the story doesn't really go into detail what that evidence was. They also believe that there were others involved in this home invasion. And investigators are still talking to witnesses, and they are hoping that someone with knowledge will speak up. The reporter spoke exclusively with the homeowner, who asked not to be identified. The homeowner thinks that it was just a burglary gone wrong. The homeowner said that he and his mother were supposed to be gone for the holiday, but his flight wasn't until later. He said he was also protecting his family because his 11 and 13-year-old cousins were in the room playing video games. He said that the children hid behind a dresser, and the homeowner showed the reporter where he stood holding his rifle to protect his life. He said, "I kept shooting until I couldn't shoot no more." The homeowner said there were 3 intruders wearing masks who entered his home and started shooting. And the homeowner says there is no need for nobody to try and shoot through someone's door and come kill that person and take what's in their home. He said he's never known of DeMoss. And he goes on to say that he hopes they find the perps who got away and hope they find out who all put that together. And for now, the family is getting out of that house and moving away, and they are thankful to be alive. He said, "Where I come from in Detroit, it happens a whole lot. So my mind frame was to protect my family at any given cost, because you'd never know what would happen or who would try and do something to you, because there's a lot of crazy people out there in this world."
I agree with that statement. That's definitely true.
So he was... apparently he had experience with this. He had a firearm to protect his family. He just resorted back to knowing where his firearm was, and he went into survivor mode. It
doesn't, he mentioned he used a rifle, but it doesn't mention what type of rifle he used, does it?
It does not. He was the one who told the reporter that he was holding his rifle. Mm-hmm. The police never, well, if they said that in a press conference, it didn't make it to the story.
Right. And he says he kept shooting until he couldn't shoot anymore, which tells me that was probably a semi-automatic rifle. Maybe an AR-15, who knows? But, yeah, hey, people that don't think an AR-15 is good for home defense, they haven't read the same articles that we have.
Exactly.
I mean, it's certainly something that works.
So we're just very happy that in each of these stories, it turned out very well for our victims. Absolutely.
Yeah. It could always turn out worse. And many times it oftentimes does. Even when you're armed, something bad could happen. We had a situation that happened right here in the town that we live in not too long ago, where it was an elderly man, and it was a home invasion type scenario. The man and his wife were at home when this person burst into their home, and he ran to the bedroom. The older gentleman ran to his bedroom to retrieve his gun, and I guess by the time he got there, this younger person was, right on top of him, and they struggled for the gun, and I don't know if the bad guy took it away from him or it went off during the struggle, but the elderly victim in that particular case died.
Well, the robber or the home invader also was shot.
Yeah, he got shot too. I don't know that he died though. Didn't the wife also get shot? I think in that story, I think she did.
I think so.
Yeah. So the point that I'm making is that even the victim who is armed can potentially meet with death, but boy, do your chances sure go up of surviving if you have something to defend yourself with, and you're not at the mercy of, some ne'er-do-well who means you harm. Hey, let's move on to our What's in Your Range bag.
Hey baby, it's time to talk about the hot, sexy new guns, holsters, ammo, gadgets, and gear from the firearm marketplace. So come on baby, let me take a peek. What's inside your range bag?
Okay, my What's in Your Range bag item today is some ammunition. We don't talk about ammunition enough on this show. This particular type of ammunition is relatively new on the market. I'm not quite sure when it came out. It may have came out at SHOT Show last year, but the type of ammunition that